It was bad. It was bad timing for everything. So
Yeah, what about you?
it was well, they were doing that.
Oh, I remember.
All right, ready? Welcome everybody to the advisory committee for June 2023. Very first thing we're going to do is say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to God,
the United States of America.
Thank you right back in a second, Rick. Well, earlier. Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna read the stuff I have to read to make this legal online. In addition to being able to attend in person, this meeting is being live streamed on, and staff will continue to take room for the public to comment using the Zoom webinar platform. I will go over the specifics of how to join the webinar, and we'll give details on how the public can offer their public testimony. Let's call roll. Gary List, not here. Chuck McGill, present. Thank you. James Alders, not here. Ron Lee, present. I see you right there. Rick Martindale, here, right there. Good for you. Dave Gordon, here. Thank you. Tom Mercado, here. And Richard Ron, thank you. And Chase Johnson is not here, it's like, but I'm here, so we definitely have a forum. I'm also missing Joel from the airport tower, but they're so busy on a plane. Okay. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that Deputy Director Jorge Rubio is also attending with his client staff. We will hear from you when the agenda gets down to staff reports. Is there anybody here in person that wants to speak as a member of the public? If I skip this part, then Director Rubio.
I think you have to. I gotta make it done.
Anything you say can and will be used against you. Hello, Mr. Francis. Welcome. Okay, if you are in person, please complete a speaker slip located in the southwest entrance and provide it to Mr. Reed, in a timely manner to ensure proper meeting management. In-person testimony will conclude before virtual testimony begins. Members of the public can also join the webinar by computer, tablet, smartphone, or accessing the link which is listed online in the preamble language of the agenda. If you need to participate by telephone, you may dial 1-669-254-5252. Webinar ID is 160-110-0896. This information is also available on the agenda. Please note that if you're watching via online, there may be a delay. Please participate in the audio on your phone or computer when it is your turn to speak. You wish to speak on a particular item, wait for that item to be called, and then raise your hand to speak by tapping the raise your hand icon, or if you are a call-in participant, *9 on your cell phone or landline. If you raise your hand during a non-comment period, your hand will be lowered. A quorum is now present. Hey, non-agenda public comment. We don't have anybody here. Do we have anybody online?
Yes, we do.
Please welcome that person.
Like Ms. Salz, let me unmute you. It'd be okay to speak.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Sandra Stahl with Clean Earth for Kids. Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport continues to fall further behind other general aviation airports in the nation. They're not only offering unleaded UL 94 fuel, but are also actually giving incentives for pilots to buy it. The latest is Naples Municipal Airport in Florida that now offers UL 94, and with that, KAPF is the 35th airport in the country to offer UL 94. The Naples Airport Authority Board of Commissioners that is appointed by the Naples City Council also unanimously approved an incentive. So KAPF is offering eligible aircraft based at Naples a $250 one-time credit to complete the FAA required certification for the unleaded STC. Making the announcement, the Board of Commissioners chair said, and I quote, "This is the right thing to do for aviation and our community. I commend our staff on proactively implementing a plan to safely offer UL 94 in less than 4 months from the time the board first raised the question." Only took 4 months for KAPF to implement their plan to offer UL 94 around the same time frame as it took Oxnard, California Airport to start offering UL 94 after the decision was made. So the big question is, why will it take Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport at least 2 more years to offer unleaded fuel? Perhaps Mr. Rubio is stalling for reasons only known to him, self, and Dream Director Penny Moss. Could special interest be involved? Well, time's going to tell. My suggestion is that members of the airport's advisory committee investigate this and make an official recommendation to Mayor Todd Gloria to get NYF on the fast track to offer unleaded UL 94 within the next few months. There is no logical reason why it should take NYF several years to offer unleaded when other airports are quickly finding a way to offer UL 94, and the experts agree there is no safe level of lead. The toxic heavy metal seriously harms children, causing lower IQ, slowed growth and development, and learning behavior and behavior problems. In adult, lead exposure can cause high blood pressure, reproductive, and other serious health issues. Put Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport up there with the winners that are protecting the health of children as well as adults living near their general aviation airports by NYF offering unleaded avgas within the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Do we need to address that or?
We don't need to, but I think I have to. I've actually talked to Mr. Chris Wozansky from Naples, and I'm aware of what they have done. We're actually working, is on that part of the nationwide trying to address the issue. Again, we have a project that we're trying to get Montgomery Gibbs, but at the same time, we haven't stopped all of our options. If there's an option for us to bring the food to Montgomery Gibbs sooner than later, we'll do that.
Thank you. Ms. Stahl, I know that from all the people I've been talking to, that FBOs are eager to get this done, city's eager to get it done. I think that Director Rubio standing on home plate with his flood in the air, waiting for the ball to be thrown back because we need the infrastructure, we need the tank, all that too. And believe me, if I can snap my fingers and make it happen, I would. Okay, Mr. Reed, do we have any other speakers?
No other speakers at this time.
All right, thank you. So item number 4 is the approval of the minutes. May 10th, 2023 was the meeting date. But you had an opportunity to read the minutes. We have any discussion on the minutes? No discussion. All right, then I'll call for approval of the minutes. All in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your hand. We got the count. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes. And moving right along. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. We have, do we have any information line? Okay, let's move to item.
It's actually the start reports.
Okay, let's roll right into item 7A, which is staff reports for review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Everyone. I just wanted to let you know that there's a couple of things that staff are working on, and they're very busy. Mr. Perlman is with us. I'll allow him to go now. He's actually waiting for us to hear him out because he needs to complete some other tasks, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, what he's talking about, what Deputy Director Rubio was discussing was the culmination of the transfer of the hotel to Dubai. We are on the cusp of being able to get those documents executed. Perhaps we can even get the assignment document executed today, which would set up a close of escrow by the end of next week. That's what I know. But it's only some minor comments that are being made in the assignment document. Again, reviewed as we speak. I can get a call in a minute if they agree, and we can move forward. That would be a big plus for us at this point. That lets you owes close to $1 million. So that'll be coming out of escrow as it goes. If we can successfully complete that. Talk a little bit about the developments at Brownfield, San Diego Airport. City has obtained a judgment against the current lessee for possession, but we're still waiting on the documents before we'll be able to move forward with the mission that's kind of on that space. San Diego Airport is reporting that they have interest from a hotel development, and there's less demand for retail uses on the property. So they're requesting that we change some of the uses from light industrial to industrial and research services. And we're evaluating that and seeing whether that makes sense for us. They've also requested that they develop phase one basically in 2 phases over 7 years. We're working to iron out those details to see how we can move forward. One thing I forgot to mention, I would like for you guys to welcome our new intern, Sylvia. Excuse me, Delana, would you please have us raise the team? This is our new intern. He is an exchange student from Madrid. So we expect to have her for a 4 year and helping us with our. We've got a draft lease for the San Diego Community College. It's with the college now, has been for a while. And we are working with them to finalize that so we can take it to council for approval. We also have a draft lease with Mr. Sorbo, and we're waiting for their comments as well. Corporate helicopters is finalizing the NEPA documents for their development to submit to the FAA and then submitted some plans to DFP. They've also requested changes that would affect the leasehold with Executive Airport. So we're working with Executive Airport and Corporate Helicopters on a resolution that will allow those changes to go forward. All right, as it relates to the office and retail complex, we completed the signage and we're working with the sign company now to install a timing clock so that the signs go off, come on at night and go off in the daytime. That should be completed by the end of this week. We'll then be negotiating the leases with the retail tenants, which will submit to council for approval before the end of the year. We're looking at basically doing refurbishment of the existing parking lot as well as the storm drain repair that we actually have in progress. We'll also be developing new leases for the office tenants for them to use the space on a short-term basis. We completed an MOU for one of the offices, totaling 4,707 square feet with DSD, and they're paying us roughly $9,000 a month. We've got we've started the electrical work for lot 8A. There are 3 tie-down spaces in that lot that are going to be used as a temporary parking location for those aircraft that are moved out of those hangars during the construction of the electrical work that's taking place. And finally, we are processing the CPI increases for Blacktop Marigold. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Oh, okay.
So on the hotel, you said that as soon as the documents are signed, that you can do the assignment like within a week.
Well, yeah, we can close it next week.
I thought the process took a little longer, like you had to advertise it.
No, this is an assignment. In terms of the sequel, yes, we do have to post the sequel, but if we do that this week, because we're no longer in the COVID protocol process, it's a 5-day period for the sequel.
5 days.
Yeah, it's been reduced to 5 days as a sort of ending in public government.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Reed.
Chairman, the fire department was here 2 meetings ago and talked about trying to get their permits through environmental. The city environmental, or is that
Oh, that's NEPA,
okay?
and they are to close it. I haven't heard from them. Do you know anything about it? Anything?
Yes, BNZP is working with the FAA. There's just some final changes. Their hope was to have it posted and publicly available by the end of last month. There's been a few little hiccups, along with the person in the FAA who is reviewing this document actually took a new position in DC, but she is keeping the project with her, but part of that transition has kind of slowed some things down. So they're just addressing some few changes in the language to make sure everything is accurate. And they're hoping by, within this week, next week, hopefully have something published and out to the public. That's the target.
And then at that point, you have a waiting period for the public.
Yes, it has to be published for, I believe, 30 days. And then they can close the EA. There has to be a 30-day public comment period,
So theoretically, they're 60 days from being able to move forward.
roughly.
Okay,
Roughly.
well, that makes me feel a lot better, because when the consultant was here, the meeting two meetings ago, I asked when could they get going on this, and he says, we had no idea.
No, so the project itself is not funded, for the construction. So that's the portion that they need, and then getting the approvals at the time.
Yeah.
The environmental approvals.
Once they have this approval, it makes it easier for Captain McFarland, Chief McFarland, to go to his higher up and say, I need the money now, we're ready to go.
Okay.
So this is kind of the first trigger point for them to go and take their money from wherever piggy banks and sources.
Better news than I thought we were gonna know. Thank you very much.
More questions? All right, thank you.
Okay. I was gonna give Thurman the news, he's busy with the hotel right now, but we actually have two MOUs with DST. The other one is for space that Post Flight was utilizing in the 8525 building, and they're paying us about $12,000 per month, and that's super.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. And I would like to thank David. Working with everything. Okay, so let's go with Andy.
Good afternoon. Let's start with the operating account. We were down 1%. We had 8,010 operations for the month of May. Also, we just finished a load at Brownfield, Powerland just wrapped up. Took a little longer than normal because of the past year. Still working with Neil Electric on some troubleshooting the lighting system. In about a week or so, we're going to be attempting to do some refreshing and markings at the airfield. We're working on getting that done. And then lastly, just as I was coming out, we had an aircraft that had a bomb strike down there back in March, became disabled. And it was basically sitting there for the last few months, but the ANP came in today and actually is servicing the aircraft and also even taking care of the parking fees that accrued while it was there. So we're getting that taken care of. So that's pretty much all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to add that, we have CAL FIRE with us. They have a Lift helicopter for the fire season all the way through November, so it's at San Diego Jet Center. They have a pretty big presence there.
Wow. That's kind of great.
It is a Skytrain, yes. It's not SCG&Es, it's another one, it's independent. Wow. It's an independent contractor.
Fantastic jump aircraft, we were talking.
Great. Thank you.
Charlie Broadbent, the manager for both committees.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, committee members. There were over 28,000 operations in May. The airport is in the process of having a complete mow. 812 was repaired. We're working on conducting interviews for the open positions. There's several of those going on. Several interviews for open positions right now. And then we were able to procure a job contract that would address the pavement for the Marigold and Flat Top area. And then also we're including the Texaway Charlie and Bravo intersections, or the little sections between 28 right and 28 left. So basically right now we're scheduled to have a site walk with them this coming Tuesday. And then once they send us over a quote, we'll be able to send that in for a purchase order and then start scheduling the work. So it's moving forward. It took a while to find the right method to be able to get this done, but with David's help and everyone's help with our team effort, we're able to find the method to get a job contract to get that going and get that completed. So hopefully in the next couple of months, if not sooner. We don't have an exact date, but it's definitely moving forward.
You think we'll be done in a couple months or started?
I think the one in the Flat Top Marigold areas will start in the next couple of months at least. That's what we're looking for, and then hopefully, depending on the scope of work for the two sections between, two runways, taxiway Charlie and Bravo. You know, since that's a little bit more, FAA regulates that a little bit more, and that's considered P401, that might be a little bit in the future, but we'll have a better idea after the sidewalk on Tuesday for that, so.
Just to add to that, just for a little bit of clarity, for the sections of the taxiways, we're looking to just put down a slurry seal right now to stop any debris from coming up. They may be closed for a little bit more additional time to remark them, to make sure everything's still up to regulation. But the flat top marigold, that's grinding and repaving and all that. But the slurry seal, depending on what we do with the contractor and how we mobilize it, the actual applying of the slurry seal wouldn't take, but I would think a day or two. You know, just like how you would slurry seal a parking lot, it's a fairly simple process. Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for doing that. I know I can't say I can take you lunch or bring a six pack, but I can say very nice things about you.
Appreciate it.
Sounds good. All right. Well, and then we did have our staff go out and remove as much fog as possible on those two taxiways, Charlie and Bravo, to help mitigate for that. So we're addressing the issue.
We talked about this before, but I bring it up here. Spot 5, executive park, whatever the number is. That needs to be moved. It's the absolute worst case place possible.
Spot 5?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right here on Taylor.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What's the one?
2.
2, I'm sorry. I get 2 of them. So 2 is at the narrowest part of Juliet. There's the tower gave some guidance, and John at the tower told me one thing, ATP told me another. ATP thinks they're supposed to pull up on spot 2 and park there, and then call for the clearance. Right? Well, there's no way to get around it. Unless you taxi through car parking or aircraft parking, aircraft tie downs, which I'd be mine. And they either move it out farther on Juliet, closer to hotels, and then can at least go around through that parking area where the Learjet is. And there needs to be some written guidance from the airport or the tower how to use it, because the intent, I think, of what John told me is that they wanted these flight schools to call when they're ready to taxi.
Without leaving their parking spot.
Or no, not in their park, because San Diego Flight Training, they're in their parking spot way out there. And they call and then, you know, they hold up everything coming in hotel to Juliet.
But get closer to the end.
Yeah, get to where you're in a position to be ready to taxi and call, but the flight schools don't get it. They're tying up traffic, they're getting, hit on, gridlock. So some written guidance would be helpful, and a different location for that spot.
Yeah, we can look into that. Definitely the written guidance, I think, would be very helpful. That area is kind of,
I'll help with the written guidance.
yeah, that area is kind of tough. Where I think anywhere you put it right there is gonna create some sort of bottleneck. So when it was stalled, it wasn't blocking that last row, and so you could definitely go into that last row, people could get in and out of it. And then also it's right near, where that, right beyond the hangar where it's not really a name of the taxiway, but I guess to the,
I know
to the east of taxiway Juliet, there's an area where an aircraft could pull there and kind of get out of the way. So that was the idea. We kind of look into it to see,
There's not really a place.
I think the written guidance will help the most.
Yeah, I think there's not a good place anywhere over there to put the spot number, because even if you move it over closer to where the Learjet is, that's all ground parking that they could utilize at some point. I really think that the fundamental problem is the lack of understanding on how to use spot numbers. And so I think we have to publish something to the flight schools so they understand, as we're coming up to it, we call, we're at spot 5, keep going, right? The idea is our wheels go through the spot and we're at spot 5 and we keep going.
Up to the whole term.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Howard is talking about how frustrating it is when some of the taxi clearances, they call for the clearance, Howard gives the clearance. They don't move to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
And now they're blocking.
Yeah, so when you get clear to taxi. And, yeah. And you don't have to call from at the far depth of the parking lot, you wait and, you can go all the way to Juliet and Hotel before you actually talk to anybody. They don't even get on Juliet yet, but legally you could get all the way out there, so you're just ready to go.
It's not near as big a problem on Kilo. Coast is actually really good. They call from their place there. But when learn to fly, some of the learn to fly guys go out there and they call, wait till they get to the very end and call. They're blocking Kilo. And then they do 10 other things while they're to hit the clearance.
So it sounds like we have some work to do. We're going to reconvene, take a look at the location of the spot. And if there's nothing appropriate, you may have to remain there. I mean, we work with the control tower to put them out there. The purpose of the spot was to make it simpler on them because they didn't know where aircraft were coming from. So they gave us examples from other airports that were using them. And we'll see if those airports even have guidance that we can probably see if that's working for them or not. But we can get together and we'll look at it, we'll talk to the tower, maybe those airports and we appreciate you all for the guidance as well.
Yeah, the other issues that I've been asked to bring up are taxiway Bravo run up, the aircraft that are closest to hotel, sometimes park at a 45-degree angle when they run up. Their prop wash goes right across taxiway hotel, and it can blow over a Piper Cub. Unit development of Piper Cub out there. And so, right, it'll give an entire 90-degree clearance, so you're facing prop glass facing parallel to the taxiway.
Right.
And the other issue was, I'll think of it.
Yeah, let me know, send me an email or call me about that. I think there's a lot of outreach that we can do, like we've been discussing. I think that's probably the best option to try to.
Yeah, just let everybody know, hey, this, don't do that. If people think they get in, everybody's at an angle, and then it looks like it's exactly the way it's supposed to be, but the prop wash is. Oh, I guess, this is for the tower. The tower says, people that do the land, and taxi back, full stop taxi backs. So there just seems to be an automatic consideration that a full stop taxi back will right up to the short line because they're not the run up. They're not number one. They could be number 6. So tower wants to start sending those aircraft taxi back down to Bravo and then get back in the back of the line again.
Right, yeah. Like in sequence, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it, I mean, we gotta get the word out to all the different flight schools and people that are conducting flights at the airport, so everybody knows the procedures that'll have the most efficient and safe outcome. But yeah, definitely have your comments and we'll work with the tower and the flight schools to come up with some guidance on those things, so.
Yeah, and it doesn't help transient guy who doesn't know, but it all those schools and clubs and everybody on the same page. But you can hear the frustration in the tower control voice when she calls the tail number, it says, line up and wait, you guys can't access the runway. Right, she calls the next guy, can you it's a chunky place anytime and when it's busy. And they had, I understand, a record hour, they had 1,400 operations in 1 hour recently, which would, if you take that out for a month, that's like 42,000.
Yeah, it's getting really busy out there, so the more we can help get the word out to have it as efficient as possible, we'll definitely do that, so.
Look to us, look to Dave, we'd be happy to jump in and help you change to offer these first calls up on that.
Okay.
I'm confident being the new guy here, this has been discussed at some point. But I was at Camarillo over the weekend and, Camarillo has a third of the ops as Montgomery, if that. And you go there and they've got 27 run-up spots, right, for their one runway. And it's just fantastic. I really like used to be in charge. We're incredibly limited here, and I'm sure there's environmental concerns with more hard surfaces. But I'm confident that we've looked at expanding run-up areas before.
Yeah, there. Okay. In the master plan, there's a larger run-up area for 28 left.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Cause
then,
I mean, that's gotta be the biggest inhibitor to ops right now at
Yeah.
Montgomery is run-up space.
right, and maybe we can look at that even more in depth. But yeah, it has been addressed. I think the numbers for the operations are rising. And there's peak times where it's really, really busy. But it's definitely been addressed and we may even need, in the future more run-up capacity, but
Gotta be
definitely,
incredible.
yeah.
Is
All right.
it really possible to put a sign to a right up area that says, make room for other aircraft,
I don't
please?
know that, I mean, everybody wants to put in another side.
I just,
It doesn't like, how often do they read that? Would be-
Well, and I think you could also maybe put the line in like Gillespie has, but then you have the issue of with certain
Yeah,
airplanes, you have too wide of a wingspan and you have a line that indicates you're okay and then ram into something.
it's usually the transients, especially at Oxford Flight School.
Yeah.
Let's treat models for everything.
Yeah, so we do, one of the last time we do have the safety meeting coming up for the RSAT meeting, it's in July. So look for that invite, and that would be a great time to bring all these issues up as well. Because we'll have the tower there, we'll have flight schools there, we'll have pilots, and we can definitely address it even further, but thank you.
Charlie, you got rid of Steve.
Yes, it's the airport, so.
So, thank you, Charlie, for that. Just wanted to mention something about Camarillo. I actually used to manage an airport and I was intimately involved in the design of that entrance. And obviously we did have more space over there. There's more details that we need to work out here. As a matter of fact, in Camarillo, the ramp was existing before, and we had a similar situation with aircraft not being able to taxi forward. Yeah, I would say about 80% of the issues got resolved, but not everything. But there's more space. To work
For
with.
sure.
Yeah, but just wanted to provide you with an update on the things that we've been working on. We have the hangar painting project, the hangar electrification project here at Montgomery Gibbs. The contractor has mobilized. We're expecting for them to start anytime now. You probably remember that Enza Charles, the program manager, left, so we're actually conducting first interviews tomorrow. We have some good candidates, and I'll be in those tomorrow all day. Also, recently I was able to attend the American Association of Executives National Conference in Denver, and we had some very good speakers. But I was also able to talk to the FAA administrator for airports, and she provided us with some good information about what the FAA is looking to do for the airports, not only in the region but nationwide. So I wanted to highlight a couple of those items for you so that you're aware. So they're actually expecting that the first advanced air mobility aircraft is going to be certificated by the FAA by 2025. And they're anxious to get that approved. The FAA is also working on advisory circular for a vertiport, not heliport, but vertiport, so that this type of aircraft can take off and land and charge, probably at that location. And that's also scheduled for 2025. The FAA is having, I wouldn't call it a concern, but they're looking to the new entrants that are coming in, advanced air mobility, new mobility, electric vehicles. You have airspace, commercial air transportation that's actually taking a lot of space that could be used by the regular aircraft. And they have created a new division within the Office of Airports to address those issues. So something to be aware of. Additionally, the FAA is looking into implementing what they call the airport safety plans for general aviation airports. If you have worked at a commercial airport or you have been there, they actually have those for commercial airports. General aviation airports are not mandated to have those, and most of them, I would say, they don't have them. So the FAA is going to be incorporating them into the grant assurances, is my understanding. Additionally, the FAA is actually looking at the structure of their Office of Airports. Mr. Reed just mentioned something about some of the environmental personnel that is moving to DC. But what happens with those projects? So they're trying to figure out those things in order to better serve the airports in the region. So that's my update from the FAA. If you have any questions, please ask, otherwise I'm something else. Keep it rolling. Okay. So today, the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee unanimously approved a 5-year bipartisan FAA reauthorization bill that increases AAP funds to $4 billion. So that's almost $1 billion over to what airports get in the nation. And if you ask me, that's good news. Now, there's a couple of things that were introduced as amendments to that bill that I think are also good for the industry in general. The first one is this bill increases the commercial airline pilot retirement age from 65 to 67. So
Just missed it.
but right, it has students, that's something that you may want to make them aware of. It also prohibits the FAA from issuing vaccine or mask mandates. It also includes language that permits the FAA to consider small airports and non-commercial airports to use bill funds for secondary runways. It doesn't matter the level of activity that they have on that runway. The new statement, it's just passed, so you probably know what it is. It also allows the DOT, the Department of Transportation, to establish a pilot program up to 10 airports that allow for those airports to receive airport improvement program funds for equipment, and that is to support the operations of electric aircraft and other charging equipment. So this is a pilot program that they're doing, and it would sunset after 5 years. We all know that NTSB investigates accidents, but they actually need authorization for that. So this act also authorizes the NTSB to continue to investigate accidents for the next 5 years. It also requires that the committee provide the administrator provides the committee within 1 year of the bill passing an updated strategic plan for the development of what they call fleet authorization for approval and use of unleaded gasolines or aviation fuel. So this report must contain outreach efforts to educate and update piston engine aircraft owners and operators, airport operators, and other members of general aviation about the potential benefits, availability, safety of unleaded aviation gasoline.
So, Director, you
Yes.
might be asking, since that's on topic, is there money behind that too, coming airport developments, or is that just telling us they're going to provide outreach to educate pilots?
So basically, the FAA needs to provide a report to them, but you actually are at the right moment because something I mentioned before that I've been at these national meetings, and something that the airports don't qualify for is, and this is for the benefit of the nation, not only kids or brownfield, but airports are not able to qualify for revenue producing activities, and some of those were fueling infrastructure. So what this bill does is it allows the FAA to provide funding to airports from the discretionary fund to cover cost of construction related to airport owned, and I'm pretty sure we're going to receive more guidance from the FAA on this for aeronautical fueling systems for unleaded fuel and fueling systems for what they call type certificated hydrogen powered aircraft or hydrogen aircraft that are coming into the future. But it also says that it would apply for fuel farms and infrastructure for the delivery of storage of fuel. Now, this is great that it got approved today. But I wouldn't get our hopes up on the fact that we may be able to access that fuel for that pot of money for Montgomery Gibbs right now, because we're going through that process, and even though we have to follow FAA environmental processes for installing the tank at Montgomery Gibbs, since we're going on an expedited route, and we're not following FAA contracting processes, we may not qualify for this, so the airport enterprise fund may have to pay for that equipment that Montgomery gives. And again, this is just something that came up today. It is brand new, and we have to learn. We have to see how the FAA interprets this, what they tell us, and but in the end, it's all good for the transition in the United States. Excellent. Yeah. Any questions about anything that I have said? No? Okay. Well, just a couple of other things. I wanted to talk about we have a representative from Tramec here, but they have the Santa Clara glider now on display at their FBO, which is borrowed from California Aerospace Museum.
It's on loan, in fact, when we're done with this meeting, if you want to walk over, it's in the lobby. Pretty neat. It's incredible, the glider was taken 4,000 feet up on a hot air balloon, not this one, but the original. And then it was released from the hot air balloon, the guy piloted it, spent 13 minutes coming to the ground. But when you look at it, it really makes you appreciate kind of what kind of adventure that would have been.
Can we take this one up on 100?
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah, we'll get you set up and just wear a helmet. No, it's, and it only flew a handful of times before one of the attempts when it was being raised to the 4,000 feet, it damaged it. And so when he released, he fell to death. But that's kind of how stuff happened. But after the meeting, if you want to walk over, it's right there.
Thank you. John D. Montgomery piloting it, or?
He designed it. Daniel Maloney was the trapeze artist pilot on flying.
And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Rubio. We are going to pass right over the air traffic control report because they're not here and we've already covered a lot of that. We have any other committee reports at this time? Any public comment at this time? Last chance for committee comment at this time. Any public comment?
Nope.
All right, we are adjourned. It is 15:42. Last one by 1 minute. Yeah, thank you very much for coming. You get out of your day.